So the plan is today is to gather some black walnuts and maybe get a little bike ride in at the same time. Okay. Here's our first stop. So that's what we're looking for, is black walnuts. This is my first time gathering black walnuts, first season. Not first time, but first season that I'm gathering them. From everything I've read, you want the ones that are yellow-green like this, and that are less than 50% black. So this one here is black. People say, what I've been reading, is that the black soaks into the nut and makes it bitter, so you want ones that are less than 50% black. I was actually bringing them home and taking the husks off, but I got the bright idea that since I'm putting them in a backpack, that if I husk them out here in the wild, it'll be lighter and less room in my backpack, and I can actually bring home more nuts. So where I filled up one plastic bag with the husks still on and brought that home one gathering, and I only ended up with like maybe 20 nuts. Well, the next time where I husked them out in the wild, that one bag held, probably 80 nuts. So that's what I'm gonna do from now on. And husking them out in the wild is easy. I was bringing them home and cutting the husks off. Oh, no good. I just step on them, and if they're ripe, the husks will come right off. I also read that if there's maggots in the husks, that it's still okay, that the maggots don't get into the nut itself. They only eat the husk. But I'll be honest with you, if I pick one up and it's got a lot of those little maggots in it, it just kind of skeeves me out, and I just throw it to the side and leave that for the wildlife. So I'll show you how easy this is. Here's another tip for you. Put on latex gloves, because this is what happens to your fingers and your fingernails when you don't wear gloves. So, and that stain will be there for a couple of weeks. So this is what I do. Move the camera down here so you can see what I'm doing. So so here's my backpack. I got an old Mylar balloon, because it's tough and sturdier than a plastic bag. And I put that down on the ground in a central spot so I could just throw the nuts into it without having to walk back and forth. So you step on them and that husk comes right off. And this one's a little too small, so I'm not going to take that. But here's a nice size one, and you just step on it and it cracks the husk and comes right off. Seeing a little bit of black is okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk around and gather some walnuts. No, it's too black. No, it's too black. Too black, too wormy. Look at the size of that one. Look at the size of this tree. I was here yesterday and this area was covered with walnuts. And today the gate to the park is down for the maintenance crew, and you can see these tire marks. So I think somebody came in and used a machine of some sort, or a bunch of people, and picked up every single walnut. Even the black rotten ones. They're gone. You know, I'm not going to say anything bad about the person that did it, because I don't know what their situation is. But there's tire tracks, or the grass is all crushed. So they either came in with a walnut collecting device, or a bunch of people. And all I'm going to say is this. When I wild forage for food, I don't take all of it. I always take some from a bunch of little spots. I don't go into one area and clean it out. I'll take a little bit from this area, I'll go somewhere else, take a little bit from that area. And that's how I gather my wild food. And the reason why I do that is because there's other people that want to gather, and there's wildlife that needs to eat that food. And I don't think it's right to take all of what's there. And these people that came in one day, because yesterday this ground was covered in walnuts. And I came today to get another small bag, and in 24 hours, every walnut on the ground has been taken, even the black rotten ones. That tells me it was probably a machine they were using. There are machines for picking up nuts. You should always leave a little bit for the wildlife and other people. It's just the way I feel. It's the way I was raised. You know, my father, we grew up on a farm, and we had a garden. My father always planted a couple extra rows of vegetables around the outside of the vegetable garden and said, that's for the wildlife. Same thing with the field corn. Same thing with the sweet corn. The couple outside rows, that's for wildlife. What's in the middle is for us. And so I try to do that too. When I wild gather, I don't clean out an area. I just take, a little bit and move to another area and take a little bit. And try to leave some for the other people, including that, and that includes the wildlife. Because animals are people too. So think about that the next time you're gathering food out in the wild, I mean, it's one thing if you and your family are all starving to death, okay, but you want to know what? When you provide for other people, God provides for you. And I thank God for this bounty of these walnuts. Thank you, Lord, for your precious gifts. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, managed to find another tree. Not as big as the other one. We've got quite a few walnuts around here we can pick up. These are some really nice ripe ones. And they just fell, some of these just fell right off the tree just now, which is really kind of cool. Because you know then that they're ripe. They haven't been sitting on the ground, so they're not rotten. Some nice ones here. Oh, that one's too yucky. All black, full of maggots on it. Oh, this is a big one. It's a nice one. I'm wearing my riding boots, my winter riding boots. Pair of Lakes. They make good walnut stumping boots. Much better than the sneakers I was wearing yesterday. I'm going to show you what I gathered in just a couple minutes. Look at that. How many. And I don't know if you can see it in the camera, how many more are still on the ground. Like I didn't even make a dent. There's hundreds of them here. It's awesome. So this is a sixth tree I visited. This one, most of the walnuts are really small and green, and the husks aren't coming off easily, which tells me they're not right. But there's a little trail right there that wasn't there yesterday. It was very, very brand new. Like a bunch of people walked down it, or one person walked down it multiple times. Went down there, it led right to a big walnut tree, and the clearing around it was, the grass was all mashed down from somebody walking. All the walnuts gone. So there's definitely somebody else out here harvesting walnuts. All the ones around this tree are all very small, very green. The husks don't come off, so they're not right. Here's another tree that was loaded on the ground yesterday, and there's not a one. And all the grass and everything is all matted down from somebody walking and picking them all up. And there's garbage there too. I wonder if they left that. But these tire marks were not there yesterday. They're all brand new. And there's a spot that I just passed where it was exposed dirt. And when I was here yesterday, it was just dirt. And now it's big ruts from a truck or something, tractor or something coming through here. Oh, but I'm still getting a small amount. I did find one tree that they missed and was able to pick some up, which is nice. And hopefully I'll find some more on my way. Cookie enjoys the gathering. You can see her right there, chewing on a stick. So here's some more tire marks. Those tire marks weren't there yesterday. Yesterday it was just packed dirt, clay. And these are all fresh. They weren't there yesterday. Well, if they went up that way, they probably cleaned the trees out up that way. So maybe I'll go that way and hopefully find some more. This is what happens to your thumb when your latex glove gets a hole in it and you don't notice. That's from the black walnuts. Yeah, that's going to be there a while. Okay, so I'm getting ready to clean my black walnuts the rest of the way. So the first step is taking the husk off. You can do that at home. I opted to do it out in the wild like I showed you. The next step that everything that I read or watched on YouTube about it is you rinse them, and you agitate them in some way, whether it be with like a paint mixer on a drill. One guy used a hoe, somebody else just used a stick and just stirred them up in the bucket and filled it with water and stirred it, agitated it, dumped it, and did that like 2 or 3 times to rinse them. That wasn't enough for me because, you know, reading that the more black is on there, it makes the nut bitter. I don't know if that's true or not, but a lot of sources said that. So for me, I wanted to get off every little bit of fiber from the husk off the nut. Because I also felt that that would help in the drying process too, and have less of a chance of mold starting. But I wanted to remove every little bit of the husk and agitate them in a bucket with a stick or a hoe or whatever. Just doesn't get all of it. So I'll show you what I was doing. So I was doing it under running water in my sink, but I realized I was not only wasting a lot of water, it really made a big mess in my sink. You'll see how much of a mess it makes on this bucket. And you'll see that there's these ridges in the nut. See those ridges? They go the length of the nut. So you have to kind of brush in the direction of those ridges. But I thought this is going to be great because it's going to get off every little last bit of fiber and last bit of black. Keep my nuts nice and sweet and yummy and clean, and they're going to dry real nice. So you can see that this works really, really well to get your nuts really nice and clean. I mean, this is just beautiful. Look at how beautiful and clean it is. The problem with it is it's incredibly time consuming. So you can look at the timer on the video and see how long it took me to clean this one nut. So yesterday, in an hour, I cleaned like 20 nuts with this process, and I still had like a lot to do. And my husband came home from work and I said, this isn't working. This takes way too much time. Well, it's a beautiful process because it gets the nuts so nice and clean. I don't know if it's necessary to do. Nobody talks about cleaning the nuts that much. They just talk about, you know, like rinsing 3 times in a bucket, and I rinsed 3 times in a bucket and I agitated them with a big stick, and I said, you know what, they're still not clean enough for me. There's a lot of stuff still stuck to them, and I really wanted to get all that stuff off. So that's where I came up with this little wire brush method. But after an hour and having only like 20 nuts done, if that, I said, I gotta come up with something better. So this is what I came up with. So I said to my husband, too bad we don't have a wire brush on a drill. And I went, wait a minute, they make things like that. So he went into the garage and he found this and put it in a drill. And what took me an hour to do like less than 20 nuts, in a half hour we did a lot. So I'll show you what I picked today, and when he gets home I'll show you the drill process, because I want one person to use the drill and the other person to videotape. You can't do both together. But let me show you how much I picked today. No, and that's how dirty the side of your sink is going to get from one nut. One nut. And here's another important thing. When you clean these outside, I do rinse them the 3 times, which I'll show you that. Don't dump the water anywhere near your garden. Don't use it in your compost. Don't pour it around a base of a tree that you love, because black walnuts put out a chemical that inhibits the growth of some plants. Not all plants, but some plants. So you don't want to take the chance that you're going to be dumping this water with this black stuff in it from the black walnuts around some of your beloved plants or in your garden, because you might be killing them. So I have an area where I have a small wood pile from my fire pit, and the weeds grow up around it, and it's really hard to trim them back. So I'm going to dump it around that just to keep the weeds from growing up around the wood pile. That's where I'm going to be dumping my water. But yeah, let me show you what I got. Oh, and look at how it soaks through this bag. Yep, that's how much it stains. So, there you go. It's about, no, not quite half a 5-gallon bucket, maybe a third. That's pretty awesome. So another important thing is any of them that float, take them out, throw them away, they're no good. So I don't throw them away, I just leave them out for the squirrels to eat. But if they float, there's something wrong with them. So I use the stick, stir them around good, get off some more of that husk, and stir them around, see if any of them that are buried want to float. There's a couple more floaters. The squirrels will be able to eat those. I only had 6 yesterday, and put them out last night. The squirrels ate them this morning, so that's pretty cool. But if they're floating, there's something wrong with them. Either they didn't develop quite right, or meat's gone a little sour. I'm just going to use this stick to keep them from falling out. I don't want to dump too much here because I realize I got a wild cherry tree growing here, and I don't want to hurt it. So I'm just throwing a little bit of this right here to keep the weeds away from my wood pile. Even just doing this gets a lot of the husk off. Just doing this a little bit gets a lot of the husk off. Like I said, you want to stir it up good to make sure you don't have any that are buried underneath and want to float. Stir it around, and after we do the thing with the drill, I'll give them a final rinse and we'll check for floaters again. But before we go through the trouble of cleaning them, I figure let's just check the floaters now. So far, so good. Looks like it was only that 7 of them. See, I use a stick just to keep them from coming out. Agitating them against each other helps get a lot of the husk off. Wait till you see them after my final process of cleaning. It's amazing how clean it comes. So you can see that a lot of them are a lot cleaner. But wait till you see them after we use the drill. It's just how fast and lovely. It goes fast and they come out lovely. We went camping and had to buy firewood at the campsite, and they came in these mesh bags, and my husband was going to throw them away. I was like, don't throw those away! Those are for walnut storage. So you should hang them in a cool, dry place. I don't have a good place to hang them. Like, I don't have a good dry basement to hang them in, so I just got them hanging in the house in the bike room. And every day I go past and just kind of, bounce them around a little bit, stir them up, make sure that the middle is drying. This is, a previous haul. And I just go by and move them around a little bit, make sure that they're drying good. And from what I've read, information's kind of conflicting. Don't you hate conflicting information on the internet? So some sites say they have to dry for 2 weeks, others say 4 weeks, others say 8 weeks. And even how long you can store them. Some sites say you can only store them for a few months. Other sites say for a year. And other sites say indefinitely. So I don't know how long you can store them for, to be honest with you. You need to do your own research. But I'm going to let these dry for about 4 to 6 weeks before I try cracking them and eating them. And the reason why you let them dry is the nut will shrivel up a little bit and get hard, so that when you crack open the nut, the meat is easier to extract. If you don't let them dry out, the nut meat is going to be soft and stuck to the shell and hard to get out. At least that's what I've read. I'll find out for myself, I guess, after I'm done drying these. And I'll do a video about that too. But yeah, so you let them dry out so that nut meat can shrivel up and separate from the shell, so it's easier to extract. I'm gonna put my yesterday's haul into the bag. Yeah, they come so nice and clean with my drill method. I love it. I think if there was still bits of husk stuck to them, they'd have to sit on this tray longer before you put them in the bag, but they're so nice and dry just from sitting overnight. It's awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them in their little mesh bag. And make sure that wherever you store these, the squirrels can't get them, because they want them. A squirrel was actually sitting on my back step this morning, looking at my back door, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, he can smell those walnuts in the house. He's going to try to get in to get them. Mine. I left some outside for you. So here's the process. Nuts in a bucket of water. The hubby's going to attack them with the drill. And I give them a final dunk and check in my little bucket and my little brush. Dunk them to make sure that they sink. And give them a final brush if they need it. And then into the bowl to sit. And check this out. This is pretty awesome. I was thinking, I wonder if we should put a plastic bag around the drill to protect it. Nope. Okay. Water out and put in some fresh water, and made the water a little like the beach. Alright, so we're going to take a couple out and we're going to give them a little check. And drop them in the water, make sure that they, that foam, make sure they sink, and they do. And let's look at them. Look at how clean that is. It doesn't even need any brushing. Look at that. Look at that. Look at how clean these are. That one could use a little more. I'll throw that one back in. This is awesome. This one could use a little tiny bit. This certainly makes it so much easier. As you take the nuts out, the ones that are clean, by the time you get to the bottom of the bucket, you don't have to do any extra scrubbing, because by the time we got to the bottom of the bucket, they were so beautifully clean. We're going to change the water again too. Just took a couple more out. Look at that. It doesn't need any brushing at all. beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah, this is a good process. Look at how many of those are clean and beautiful and can just be thrown right in the final rinse bucket. It's just so awesome. Look at how clean they are. So I'm going to lay them on these trays that are lined with paper towels just to help absorb the bulk of the water. Then I'll take the paper towels out and put them on regular cloth towels and let them sit and drain for, a couple of hours. They feel and look dry to the touch. Stir them around every once in a while. Make sure that they're drying all the way around. Try to leave a little space in between them so that they dry real good. And then I'll take the towel away and just let them sit on the metal trays with nothing underneath them to dry overnight or for a couple of days till they feel dry to the real dry to the touch and look real dry. You can tell by the color. And then they'll go in their bag. And I showed you the bag before. The other group of nuts, they'll go in the bag and they'll hang up. And every day I'll go by and kind of bounce the bag around to move the nuts around so that they get rotated and get good airflow. Some people make big trays with like a mesh bottom to let them dry in, which is probably the best, but I don't have those and don't have a place to put them even if I did. So yeah, I have to make do with what I have. But we'll see in about a month or two, and I'll crack them open and show you how they look and try one and see if they're good. Some stuff. So you can see how wet the paper towels are, so I'm going to take the paper towels out and put them on regular cloth towels. Move them around a little bit. Let them sit and dry out a little bit more. I mean, this step might not be necessary. Maybe I could just dry them just on the tray. I don't know. But I feel like the towel picks up some of the moisture that's on the tray. And can roll them around. You can see the towels wet in spots where it's picking up some of the excess water. So I let them sit in this for a while until they don't feel damp anymore. They look pretty on red too. So I leave them on the towel for a few hours, take the towel out, and just have them on the metal tray. And I leave them on the metal trays for, I don't know, I left them on the trays for about 5 days, and then today I'm going to put them in the mesh bag and hang them up. And I figure I'm going to let them dry in the bag. Yeah, for about a month. I figure by the end of November. It's near the end of October right now. I figure by Thanksgiving we can crack them open and try them. And we'll be back then. I'll do a video.